me 10 minutes and I will show you how to wake up out of the slumber that has billions of people on this planet currently trapped. How to stop being an NPC. To do that, I'm going to give you 5 different techniques. You really need to pay attention to this video if you want to wake up and regain control of your life. So what is an NPC? NPC stands for non-player character. If you've played video games, you realize that there's a range of characters in video games that reuse the same scripts over and over again. They say the same things, they stay in the same place. One of my favorite video games growing up was Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And if a character was meant to be in the Imperial City, he will stay in the Imperial City. If a character was meant to be in Kvatch, he will stay in Kvatch. These characters didn't move outside their program domain. They had a script and they followed it. Now, this concept extends way past the video game world into the real world. There are currently billions of NPCs living amongst us. Maybe you're one. Unlikely because you're watching this video, but maybe you have part NPC genetics in you. So how do we rid ourselves of NPCs? And if you're still doubting that there's NPCs, just look at the events of 2020 and 2021. How asleep do people have to be for things like that to happen? You have to be in a slumber. So how do we wake up? Tool number 1 is meditation. I know this has been said ad nauseum. It's been said since times immemorial, forever. People have been saying meditate, meditate. But now there's a whole bunch of scientific research that's backing the positive benefits of it. But the reason you want to meditate is because it increases your mindfulness, which is just a fancy way of saying awareness or control of your intention, right? I've been reading this book called Tufti the High Priestess by Vadim Zeland, and he talks about how there's an inner screen and an outer screen. The outer screen is the outer world of forms, perceptions. The inner screen is the inner world of thoughts, emotions, and sensations. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say you're watching Netflix, you're enjoying Stranger Things 3, you're very immersed in it, and all your attention is on the screen. You're basically hypnotized. You're paying attention to the outer screen, the world of forms. You're having a conversation with a friend, and he says something, but you're not really paying attention. You're thinking about what you're gonna have for dinner. You're daydreaming. You're worried about the future. You're thinking about the past. You're feeling a bit anxious. You're in the inner screen, the inner world, and the outer world gets blurry. So this is exactly the same thing as being focused on the outer world. So it's kind of like a spectrum. Too much on the outer world, too much in the inner world. What you want to do is sit right in the middle where you're able to perceive both the screens. This is called the seat of power. And from that point of view, you are in a mindful state and you can be more deliberate with your intentions, with your actions. I like to do this, especially in the morning when I am looking at my to-do list. I stay in that inner zone, the seat of power, right before bed when I'm visualizing certain things that I want in life. You go in that seat of power. Do this and just see how much your life is going to change. Just try for 5 minutes and you see how difficult it is just to maintain that attention. Very difficult. Now, this also rolls over to the second point that's going to help you wake up. Planning your day, planning your week, planning your months, planning your years. People who are asleep, NPCs, they don't plan shit. They follow the script, just like the characters in the video games that stay in the same cities. They follow the script, say the same things, don't plan because they feel like they have no control of their lives. When you research the highest performers, right? The highest performers in the world in terms of music, engineering, entrepreneurship, whatever, they always plan their days. They put a premium on their time. They realize how important time is and they don't waste it. You know, they have journals. I believe I was reading a biography by Walter Isaacson on Leonardo da Vinci, and he had a daily journal where he'll constantly be planning what he's going to do that day, where he's going to go, what he's going to see, what experiment he's going to do. This is the trait of geniuses. Plan your day to plant the seeds of intention, which will create those results in time. The average person doesn't do this. They allow people of, I guess, higher awareness, people who have more malevolent intent to control their destinies. They tell them, yeah, go to school, do this, study that, work here, do this, and they just go with the flow. Don't be like that, right? So plan your day. The third thing, which is going to help you wake up, stop being an NPC, is to question everything, especially the things that have a generic template on them, that have a label on them. So what I'm talking about is there's certain concepts in the world. There's like, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're black, you're white, you're Asian, you're an American, you're Jamaican, you're Japanese, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. There's these labels that people identify with. But the problem is, as soon as you identify with a label, by default, you are identifying with every single property that that label is defined by. So you have to follow the script of that label, and you're just going into another trap. You're not choosing what you want, taking the bits that you want, disregarding the bits that you want. You're just going along with someone else's container. And this is a big problem. So you really need to question everything, especially things that come in labels. This is why it's so easy to divide people today. You know, there's this kind of spread and division that's happening everywhere, where you have LGBTQ people over here, you have MGTOW people over here, you have, you know, conservative, there's all these divisions and ways for people to identify themselves and separate themselves from other human beings. This makes it very easy for people to be bamboozled, to be programmed, when they are so concerned with identifying with a particular sect, with a particular group. You know, this is why sports is so popular, and betting and all this bullshit. Stop it. Question everything, especially the things that you don't want to question, the things that you've been told by perhaps your parents, the things that are heavily pushed in your culture. These are the things you have to question first. Now, number 4 is going to help you with that, and that is to read. And not just read any books, but read books you shouldn't read. So I was born and baptized as a Roman Catholic, but I read everything. You know, I read Hermetic philosophy, I read Buddhism things, I gave that book a try, all right? So I read everything, especially the things I probably shouldn't read. You know, you have this identity that, you know, stays in your mind. You're this type of person. I shouldn't read this. I'm an engineer. You know, I study mechanical engineering. I shouldn't read spiritual texts. I shouldn't read the Quran. I shouldn't read the Kabbalah. I shouldn't read books on poetry. All this stuff. Read things that you feel like you shouldn't read, because that's going to help open your mind, remove you from being an NPC. Because what does an NPC do? An NPC follows a script. How do you break that NPC habit? By removing a script. You don't have a script because you got so many different pathways that you can go, and that changes everything because it flips the script, and now you have to choose what you want to do. You're not following the single script. You have many paths, and then you can finally have choice. To have choice, you need options. If you don't have options, you don't have a choice, and you're a slave. So read things that you shouldn't read. And the last big tip for becoming free is to become formless. You know, Bruce Lee said it. Be like water, my friend. You know,
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water.
You put water in a cup and it becomes the cup. You know, put water into a jug, it becomes a jug. Be able to adapt and change given new evidence. So let's say you have a particular perspective, a particular belief that has helped you for 20-something years of your life, and on the 28th year of your life, that belief no longer serves you. You need to be ready to disregard it and acquire new beliefs. Most people don't do this. We have this consistency bias. We want to be the same person we were yesterday. We want to stick to what we know, and that limits us greatly. Disregard that. Be free to change your beliefs, especially your deep-suited beliefs. Perhaps you think you're a particular type of person. You know, you've always been super lazy, you know, procrastinator, and just couldn't get stuff done. You need to be ready to let go of that and say, no, I'm actually a disciplined person. I get things done. I come on time. I perform above and beyond what's expected of me. You need to be able to just change with the flow, because this world's dynamic. This world's dynamic, it's complex. There's a range of complex systems interacting in this world that change the destiny of the world. And if you stay stagnant as the person you were yesterday, you're not going to be equipped to deal with the new world. Whereas if you're able to adapt and change with what's happening, you will prosper. So that's the 5th way to stop being an NPC. So let's quickly recap the 5 things you need to do. Meditate, right? Super important. Read, question things, become formless, and of course, plan your day. Okay, those are not in the right order, but those are the 5 things. I told you I would do it in 10 minutes. Anyway, do these things, and I promise you'll be one step closer to living and dying well.